welcome to another episode of the Noir Note. Today we are here with Lavi. Lavi, can you please introduce yourself and your work?
Yes. Hello, I am Lavi of Lavi HQ, sole proprietor of my own little business. Yay! And I mostly focus on Afrocentric involvement in fantasy. So, because I just, I felt like we're kind of lacking in that area. So I just try to do my own thing with that, and I feel very happy about it. Yay!
Yes, it's awesome. And just a quick disclaimer, we did have an interview earlier. The audio did not pick up, which was my fault, of course. It has to be. So we have rescheduled and we are redoing it. It was a great episode, but that just makes me believe this one is going to be even better. You're self-publishing a comic for the first time. Can you please tell us about that experience, how it's been for you thus far?
It's been actually pretty great. It's not as hard as I was initially led to believe. And by initially led, I meant just let myself. It's not like anybody told me any particular way. I did hit a bit of a hiccup because the files have to be set a certain way depending on the printer. But I started before I found the printer. So I had to redo a lot once I got the printer done, but it wasn't that bad. Once I got it done, now for my next project, I'm already starting with the same printer, so it's great that I have that down, can not waste that much time. The story itself, I started for a contest last year. It's based off of an emotional thing that I kind of went through, so it's literally art therapy, but in a book. So I was gung-ho about it until I wasn't, and I didn't finish it until late March. So yeah, last month.
Okay, nice.
But I'm super happy. I'm super happy with how it's coming along, and I opened it for pre-orders, and I got more orders than I thought. I think I just hit 10.
Nice.
Yeah, so it's like, oh my god, is that double digits? And it's super awesome. And then I have I am hoping to have it in a comic book store. That I'm part of the community and everything, so I just need to talk to the shop lead and whatever, so we'll see how this goes. And so it's been great. The process has been awesome. The printer has been awesome. They came along a lot faster than I expected. I approved the proof not even a week ago. I think tomorrow makes a week, and they're already supposed to be here. And I ordered 40 copies. So I'm super excited about how this is going to turn out. I can't wait to like rummage in them like Scrooge McDuck. Oh my god.
It sounds super exciting. It sounds like, even though this is your first time doing this, you've put a lot of thought into it, and it's going relatively smooth thus far.
Yes, which is nice. It's so nice, because I'm just like, please, no really bad hiccups. Thank you. I've had horror story.
Are there any unexpected difficulties or things maybe next time if you were to self-publish another comic you would do differently?
I think it was just the files, like laying it out and everything. So they give you a template that you can follow with their sizes and how it's going to print and everything. So when I got the proof, I'm like, oh, my artwork should actually be hitting the edge. And in the template, I misread the edge, if that makes sense.
Okay.
So everything kind of didn't really fit the way I wanted it to. So after I got the proof, I'm like, all right, back in. Rearrange.
Round 2.
But I honestly, yeah, exactly, round 2. And honestly, I didn't mind it in the sense that I love editing when there's something to edit. I hate making, the blank page is my worst enemy. Because I'm just like, God, what is your purpose?
That really is the process of just like, okay, I did this one time, so next time I'm going to do this. It's just like continual growth. Like, even if you don't get it 100% right the first time, which if you do, wow, you fantastic. But there's always something new to learn and some way to improve.
Yes, 100% agreed. Like, if you're not learning, then how are you growing?
Exactly. If you have it right off the bat, like, what else is there to do?
Awesome. Right. It's like, that's awesome, amazing. But like, there's always something more to learn. Even the masters or whatever, there's still something out there for them to learn. Like, that's why I love, the wisdom or wise people, and they're just like, oh, well, I can do this now, or I could try that. Even though they're a master at what they have done, they're not afraid to explore or expand upon it, if that makes sense.
Yes, no, it really does. And so, Lavi, you've turned your art into a business. Can you tell us, the process, how it started, where it's going, and some things you hope for in the future?
Yes. So when I initially started, I wanted to be like a sticker business. Ever since I was a kid, I've always been in love with two things, rainbows and stickers. And I feel like I've kind of implemented the rainbows into my artwork because every time somebody stops me, or not stops me, but every time somebody stops by at the convention, it's like, oh, wow, it's so colorful. I love how this looks. I'm like, thank you. And then for the stickers, I knew going in that that's something I wanted to make for myself. I did try a third party, and I felt kind of out of the loop with the process. So I literally just placed the one order. Nothing bad from them or anything like that. It's just I would have loved for it to have been more personable. So that's where also I was just like, oh, I can make stickers for other creators as well, which I have, which has been awesome. But I'm always just like, yay, they're here and they're excited with me. And I'm just like, yes, this is what I wanted. Because it's super awesome to have your artwork come into the physical realm, especially if you're just doing digitally.
Right.
So that's how it started. Where it's how it is currently is I just got into conventions. I haven't even been at it for a year, and I'm already down with 10 under my belt.
Woo.
Which is awesome. Because I started applying last year, and then I got into my first one last August. So this coming August will make a year, and so I'm just so happy. Last year I was like, dang, am I even going to get into one? Now this year, only a few months later, I'm just like, oh, I'm trying to get one a month, and so far I'm doing really well with that. So it's nice to see the progress. I am earning slowly but steadily. My main goal for this year is to leave out with a profit, and that's what I'm trying to work towards. And as far as where I hope it's going to go, I do want to do more into self-publishing. I just came out with my first story, which is my debut, which was kind of an emotional thing that I felt more people could relate to. My second thing is for a secret project.
Ooh.
With my lovely friends, you included, of course, but I knew I wanted to have it physically. That's actually going to be my first graphic novel. I already finished thumbnailing and lettering it. It's going to be over 100 pages.
Whoa.
So I'm super excited for that. But after that, I do plan to get back to my story that I've had in my head since I was in high school, so over a decade now. And it's called Deckingdom, which of course you know. And I do plan to publish that in issues.
Oh, exciting. So will there be a different version than the one that's currently up on Webtoon Canvas?
Technically, yes, because I've always wanted to redo it because, of course, my art was good for what it was back then, but I feel like I've definitely taken leaps and bounds as far as where it is currently. So I do plan to restart it. The concept, of course, will still be the same. It's just I do want to kind of revise the beginning a bit, make it more fantasy depth, because I don't feel like it was I don't feel like it was as fantastical as it could have been in the beginning versus where it ended up. So I want to revise that a bit, but other than that, it'll pretty much just be the same story. Just a few minor changes.
Okay. That's still exciting that you're going from a digital webcomic to a physical graphic novel.
Yes. So just like if I can't stop somebody with it, I don't want it.
That's one way to look at it, for sure. And so you mentioned that you've been going to conventions, tabling at conventions this year. Can you kind of tell us about that experience? How, when you first started, what it was like, and now that you have 10 conventions that you've tabled at, what's become part of your routine? What's some advice that either you can offer to other people or has been offered to you that you've kind of taken in and used to improve your experience and the way that you interact with customers? That was a long question, but basically, to summarize it, how has the convention, tabling at conventions, how has that been, that entire process and experience?
It's been super awesome. I honestly love it. If it wasn't for conventions and, of course, the support of the group that we're both in, I love you so much.
Thank you.
That I definitely would have quit a while ago, and that's just because with the support of the group, we're all going through similar difficulties. We're all seeking some camaraderie and everything like that. So it's nice to lean on each other for support, especially when we can't do that physically. You know what I mean? Like in person.
Yeah.
And then with conventions, it's nice to have people that actually want to buy what I have to offer. It's that wonderful feeling. And even if they don't buy anything, just talking to somebody about it, somebody walking by like, oh, that looks nice. And I'm like, thank you. So like being at conventions, what I've learned is trying to keep it into a realistic perspective. When I initially started, I was leaning more so on why aren't people buying? Because you can't force somebody to buy something from you.
Right.
And I was trying to pander, well, not really pander, but I was doing stuff that burned me out very, very quickly. Versus when I decided to take a step back and do what I want to do. Because that way, if nobody's buying anything, which is a variable that I can't, it's a variable that I can't control. But what I can control is my enjoyment of what I'm making. So once I made that switch in perspective, it's been going a heck of a lot smoother for me, mentally, I should say, because like on my online shop, I get very few, if any, shop orders. I don't think, like outside of friends and family, I haven't had like a stranger buy anything. Mm-hmm. But it's nice to still have, I still update it. I'm trying to. I'm going to put a little asterisk on that. I've been lacking a little bit. But I keep up with updating it. What I have on the shop is what I have at conventions and stuff. And people are also just like, oh, you could do Etsy or you could do Shopify, Big Cartel, which are places to hold your store. I haven't tried Shopify or Big Cartel. I do know you have to pay them in order to host your website or your shop on there. Etsy, I did try and I quit it in like not even a month. It's $30 to join, and then there's all these other fees that they keep taking. And once your shop gets bigger, then they start taking more. And I'm just like, no. And the marketplace isn't even worth it at this point because there's a lot of drop shippers and AI art and people stealing other people's art. And I'm like, yeah, I don't want no smoke. I'm good. But conventions, I can sit there, get to talk to people. I get to have my stuff on display. I actually just changed up my display again and I absolutely love it. And I feel like I'm at a bit of a disadvantage, which is okay, or an uphill battle, I guess I should say, because all my stuff is original. I don't have any fan art. I don't have anything aside from my artwork to speak for itself rather than a character that a customer is familiar with, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. But I still feel like I've been rather successful on my end because even though I don't have something that they're familiar with to draw their eye, my artwork does that. And I feel very happy about that. And it's not that I don't want to do fan art. It's just that's never had my heart, if that makes sense. Like, it's just whenever I've tried, I'm like, oh God, this is exhausting. I've barely even touched the sketch.
You've mentioned earlier about having to change your perspective when people weren't at first purchasing your items. So would you say like that's an important thing for someone just starting off from taking, say, they don't want to have a digital shop anymore. They want to do conventions. Is that the perspective that they need to have? Like, be realistic and also accept that it's going to be slow. There's going to be gradual growth, but you have to be okay in the beginning with not making money at first.
Yes, 100%. As far as not wanting to do a digital shop and wanting to do in real life, but I will say having multiple avenues is crucial, especially if anybody wants to do this full time. If it's just a hobby, please do what you do, whatever you have time for. Mm-hmm. But full time, having multiple avenues. So like I still have my online shop, and then let's say that you sell out of something. You could be like, hey, here's my card. I have an online shop. I plan to restock one of these days. So just keep an eye out for it. That way, hey, that might get you a follow on Instagram. Hey, that might get you a subscriber to your newsletter. So you never know. But I'm trying to think of the rest of your question.
It was just like the mindset,
it will be slow.
The perspective.
Yes, the mindset and the perspective are very important, that you're not inflating your ego too much, that you're not putting so much expectation on it. No expectation is the best expectation. That way, if anything awesome happens, then it's just like, oh my God, versus, oh yeah, I expected this. Okay, cool. Versus if it goes like south, and like, let's say you don't make any sales, and that's that's okay. Like, I will say, even at the really slow conventions, I've made like 1 or 2 sales. But even then, those were free. So any sale is a profit. As far as not having to make back table. But yes, perspective, mindset, that is very crucial to keep in mind as far as, hey, you can't force somebody to buy something. You can't force somebody to like your art. You like it, and that's enough. But if you want to make it into a business, you gotta also take that step back and go, what am I doing wrong? Could it be the display? Is something hiding behind the other? What has been some feedback? If you happen to be at the end of an event and you don't feel really good about it, and you happen to have somebody stop by, you can ask them. It's like, hey, what drew you to my table? Hey, what do you think about this? Not trying to get a sale, but literally just asking for their opinion. People are actually pretty receptive to that.
You do that?
And yes, in the sense of, actually, to be honest, I haven't had to do that. But I do like when people are like, oh my God, I love this. And then we'll just talk. And they tell me what they like about it. So it's not that I had to introduce the notion of giving feedback, but they will give feedback.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
So always be open to feedback and be like, if you're just like, I don't care what they say, they're not an artist. It doesn't matter. Like, you're not trying to appeal to fellow artists. You're trying to appeal to your audience. Mm-hmm. And what that looks like, or who that involves, you don't know that yet. You may be trying for a certain demographic, but a whole other demographic could be into it. You never know. So it's just, if somebody is showing some interest, if you want to know what you might be able to do better, it doesn't hurt to ask. I have asked fellow artists, like, hey, what do you think of my display? I feel like I'm not showing something off. And then they will help me with that. I did do that at my first show with my table neighbor. She's super awesome. She's been doing this for 5 years. She goes all across the country just driving.
My goodness. For
these shows and stuff. And she's been doing this for a while. So I was just like, hey, what do you think? And then she told me, this was at my first show. And she was like, oh, I think your keychains are great. You need to have them on display more. And this was a 3-day convention. She told me that Friday, that Saturday, I made sure to bring some hooks or whatever to hang my keychains. And those are my top seller for Saturday and Sunday.
Wow.
So it was just like, yeah, do what you got to do. It doesn't hurt to get feedback.
Yeah. And being receptive to it, of course. I think some people tend to be like, I know what I'm doing. I don't need anyone to give me any feedback, any criticisms, any critiques. But I think what you said is important. Like, be receptive to what people are telling you. Know that it should be in good faith. You can tell. You should be able to differentiate if someone is telling you something in good faith or if they're just being a jerk. But be open to it. Be open to trying different things too, because like you said, she offered you that advice and the next day that was your top seller.
Yes, 100%. Like, if you're going to ask, then be ready to receive.
And maybe sometimes you might not even ask, but it might be what you need to hear.
But yeah, everybody's there to have a good time. That's all everybody really is there for. Yes, to make money, that's great, but that's not a guarantee. Right. Like, I had a convention in November. Table was $150. It was Saturday and Sunday. I think only maybe a handful of people made back table. I was not one of those people. A lot of people did not make it back. But I did get to network. My brother was there with me, so he sat at the table. I went to go talk to other artists and everything. I met some people that I follow on Instagram and I still talk to at this time. One of them got me into a Discord server for more local events and everything that I've been able to sign up for. So even though I didn't make a profit, I still was able to network. That has helped me like expand my business in the future. So it's always like to try to make the most of it. It's not only about making money. It's about being a good person. Talking to people, which sucks for being an introvert, but eventually you kind of get that mask, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And then you just got to put it on. You just got to do what you got to do. And then when you get home, then you can just turn into a puddle. That's fine.
Just got to push through, try to do what you need to do, essentially.
Yes. Precisely, especially, again, if you want to do this full time. If it's just a hobby, don't worry about it. If you want to actually make this work, you got to put yourself out there. And in the best way possible. Not just like you don't want to be the jerk that everybody thinks of. Because this community is small and they will tell you who to avoid.
And so you've mentioned that you're in a group that shares local conventions. Has that been best for you, starting with local conventions instead of the bigger conventions that maybe are harder to get accepted into, like New York City Comic Con and all the other ones that I can't think of right now?
Oh yeah, 100%. So actually, I didn't, of course, with the local events, they're smaller. There's not as much advertisement as the bigger events. So my first convention was a big event. I know it's in the top three of Chicago because C2E2 is the biggest one. I think ASIN is the biggest anime one. So Fan Expo Chicago, that's the one that I got into. And I was just like, oh my God, like I couldn't stop dancing. I called my mother. She was shrieking with me. So my first show was a big one, and that table was $375.
Jeez.
Which I kind of like mathed it out to $125 a day. Not gonna lie, my first table, I almost made that back. I made over $300 on my first table.
That's awesome.
Yes, and it was because of the feedback that I was able to get, like with the keychains and everything, and also because I did my research. I knew what I wanted my table to be, I knew what I wanted to have, and I made sure to have all of that product. Because I got my approval in April, so 4 months. From April to August, I was prepping. It's okay to apply the big ones because I've applied to C2E2. I want to go to C2E2. It's so great. I meet artists that I absolutely love and I've been following for years. And I get to buy their stuff and talk to them and everything. And I want to get in there, but that table is also damn near $500.
My goodness.
But the smaller ones, even the one for $150 for that weekend, I feel like they were doing too much. They thought that the event was bigger than it was supposed to be, but they were super nice. And some events do that. It's like they think that it's going to be bigger. So it's hard to put it. It's like, because a lot of these things, they rely on Artist Alley. The payments for the tables are how they like do the venue, and that's the money that they use for the most part, because we have to pay as soon as we get the acceptance. So that's usually months in advance. So it's like, I'm trying to think, because some places, research, that's all I'm going to say. Research! Because some events are not what they seem. Some events are just complete boo hockey. And they're just like, yeah, we're the biggest for this city or whatever, and they're not. They're really not. They just started. They don't know what they're doing, and it could be real bad, and not a lot of people come, and you spent $200 on a table to make $50 that weekend. Nobody's going to feel good about that. Even the one that I spent $150 on, there were artists that packed up like 3 hours before it was supposed to close on Sunday, because they're just like, yeah, this is not happening. I'm not going to make it back. This is a waste of time.
Thinking about all of this, since you've started, currently where you're at, are there any valuable lessons that you've learned and that you could offer to people who want to start tabling at conventions or who want to start self-publishing? Like, any advice on these two things?
Ooh, yes. Biggie, I'm going to keep repeating this. Research, for the love of God, because you do want to try multiple printers. I went with this one because 2 of my friends have already used them. They had no complaints. They love their turnaround, and honestly, I love their turnaround. So I've had no complaints. But other printers may offer something that you may be looking for. So it doesn't hurt to like try different avenues. Usually these kinds of places do have sample packs that you can get for like $10. And they'll mail them to you with all their options and extras. Some do like foil lettering or whatever for cool little effects if you tilt it just right in the light. Let me see. As far as also for self-publishing, make sure your dimensions are good, because as I mentioned earlier, like I had to go back and redo the pages and everything. Thank God I did the backgrounds last, so it was just moving the characters around.
Nice.
But if you're like doing a very lengthy project and you find out you've been doing the wrong file size this entire time, it's gonna suck.
That's extra time that you have to spend fixing it.
Right, or you give up, and you don't want to give up, especially after you put so much work into it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, just making sure that all the file, like I triple check everything, make sure I'm on the right layer, make sure this isn't supposed to be there, make sure that's about the right margin, all that fun stuff. But I also love doing that. I keep telling myself I was born to be a secretary, now I'm just my own. So. As far as convention, again, research, make sure like you said, like as far as New York Comic Con or San Diego Comic Con, yeah, those are huge conventions, but those are also very expensive tables. And if you're not in that state already, and if you have to travel, that's even more expensive. Hotel, car, food, all that fun stuff. So if you're not, like, and like there's this other Discord that I'm in. It's a really big artist alley network. It's literally cross country, Canada, all over the world, all that stuff. And they always say, look into a convention before you apply, because let's say you get in and you're just now asking those questions. How am I going to get there? How is this convention for other people? Like, that should have been stuff that you should have been looking into before you applied. Mm-hmm. Because now that you got in, you could have taken a spot from somebody else who already knows who not only already knows this stuff, but now is on the wait list, and this could be their livelihood. So it's just like, it's not a win for anybody in that situation. So research beforehand. Because that's something they keep saying over and over again. I'm like, I get it.
But it is important.
It is very important, because there are still people just like, hey, so I got into this. What's it like? It's like, you're just now asking this. Don't be afraid to talk to people. You're not in this alone. That's something that I definitely had to learn, both with the support group that I love Ashley for and everybody else, and meeting other artists and everything. Nobody's in this alone. We have the same struggles. It's nice to have that similar thing to talk about. Like, you can bounce your artwork off of each other. You can tell each other about, other conventions and smaller ones that may not be as advertising as well. Like, there's this library one that I'm doing next weekend, and I just got a flyer in the mail, and I'm about to put it on my Instagram. I'm like, hey, I'll be here next weekend. But there's no such thing as gatekeeping. Like, it may be hard to find all this stuff at first, but when I got into the big Artist Alley network, there's like channels dedicated to different manufacturers and everything like that. If people don't want to tell you who they use, that's fine. They don't have to. They don't owe you anything. But there are other people who will tell you. There are blogs on YouTube and everywhere else on the internet for free that tell you who their manufacturers are, how they do their display, how they keep things organized, what they do. There's so many resources out there. You just literally have to find it. Hence, research.
Yep, that's the reoccurring theme, research. And that's true for anything you want to do, especially if you want to start a business.
Yes, and if you want to do it right, because I didn't know the first year that I was doing this that I had to pay taxes quarterly. I kept hearing about it, but I'm like, dang, how do I do this? And I finally called the Department of Revenue for my state, and he was just like, it's good that you're doing this now, because there are two certainties in life, death and taxes. We will find you. I'm like, okay. But like, other artists will be like, oh, you don't have to pay your taxes. Yes, you do. Especially when you're starting out, get into the habit of it. So that way, one, you're not backlogged, and you have to pay like $300 for your first year, like I did.
Just to end things off, do you have any final comments, shout outs, your work, or anything you want to leave the people with? Anything at all?
I do want to say thank you so much for the interview, and twice as nice. So hopefully this will be it.
Let's not shoot for a third time.
Yeah. And just want to say thank you to the support of our lovely, wonderful group, and also the friends that I've made along the way, like doing all of this, because this would be so much harder without the support and like being able to talk to people who have been through this, who don't mind offering their advice and all that. So yeah, just super thankful for everybody. And especially my friends, my two other creative friends that got me into self-publishing in the first place. So it's just, I have so much to be thankful for, so much to be grateful for. I'm just super happy that there's some steady growth. And however small it may be, I'm still better off this quarter than where I was last quarter and the quarter before that and all that. So that's why I can chalk it up as a success.
That's a beautiful
because
thing.
I'm getting better. Yes. But thank you again, Ashley. This is super awesome. Thank you so much.
Of course.